The second episode for The Walking Dead Season 8 just premiered last night. This episode was titled The Damned, and it was directed by Rosemary Rodriguez. And I'm going to review this episode for you, let you know what kind of Easter eggs I might have found, and some predictions for later on this season. And I am going to be talking spoilers for this episode and potential spoilers for the rest of the season or series. I'm not privy to all the spoilers because I don't read the comics, but I have heard a few things and seen a few things, and I have some ideas. So let's get into this review. I gotta say right off the bat, this episode, in my opinion, was much better than last week's episode. And mainly because it's just action, non-stop action. And yet, there is some story in it. It's not just guns shooting off. Things happen in this episode that are very important. And the last episode was not really the beginning of All Out War because the season finale of last season was really the start of All Out War. So I mean, it's kind of, that episode was more transitionary, and so is this one. But this one has just a continuation of the war with multiple battles going on at the same time. And it was done almost flawlessly. There were a few parts that I thought were missing, namely the Negan and Gabriel part, but you know, I'll get to that later. But yeah, this episode, while it wasn't the most artistic episode, it was awesome. It was action-packed, and I honestly saw it going a slightly different way than they actually did. But I am still happy, very happy, with how the episode went. Now, it did start off a little bit artistic with all the close-ups of each character's face, basically saying, you know, these are the people that you care about, and they're about to go to war. I mean, they've been going to war the past 2 episodes, so it's about to get more serious. So just be ready. You might lose some of these characters. We didn't lose any of them, thank goodness. At least not yet. So in this episode, we have a bunch of our people split up into groups. We have Jesus, Tara, and Morgan infiltrating the satellite station. We got Rick and Daryl infiltrating, I think, what they assume is an armory. We've got Carol and King Ezekiel. You know, they're just taking out a few saviors. They're really looking for one savior in particular that got away. And then you got Aaron, Eric, and Tobin attacking another outpost of the saviors. I love the start of the battle with Aaron and Tobin and all the other Alexandrians. That was cool. I love how they just drive up and just start shooting the place up. They don't care. And the way that they have the cars, it's pretty cool. And I didn't quite understand exactly what they were doing, but when Aaron says, we just keep them pinned and it takes care of itself, I didn't quite get what they were going at until they finally showed that, you know, the walkers or the people that they were shooting were turning into walkers, because they weren't trying to shoot them in the head to stop them from turning into walkers. I love the fact that they're using walkers within this war. I love that about this show. The writers thought about it. They're like, okay, maybe we didn't have enough walkers last season, so we need to include them more in this season. So I like that about this episode in particular, and last week's episode. They're using the walkers more. Sure, they're not as much of a threat to our group, but they're still being used, and they're a threat regardless. And one thing that really drove me nuts about that firefight between, you know, Aaron and his group and the saviors is nobody is seen reloading. I swear. They're just firing like crazy. It's like, you don't have unlimited ammo. This is not a video game. And that just kind of bothered me. I'm like, they're just shooting. You know, you have a finite amount of ammo. I get it that you're trying to get a lot of ammo, and you probably do have a lot of ammo, but, you know, you still live in a world where there are no bullet manufacturers. Okay? Eventually, you're gonna run out of ammo. And you can't just go to a store and buy more ammo. They've probably already been picked clean. So I don't know, that just kind of bothered me. And near the end of that firefight, you know, Eric gets shot, and I saw it coming. I honestly didn't know if it was going to be Eric or Aaron. I knew it was going to be one of them, but, you know, because they kept showing them, and it's like someone is going to have to die. Someone important is going to have to die in this scene to make it more dramatic, and they chose Eric. And honestly, I'm kind of glad it was Eric instead of Aaron, because I like Aaron better. He's cooler. In my opinion, King Ezekiel's getting a little annoying with his speeches, the way he talks. He's always performing. And, you know, it's fine, I get it, but it's a little annoying. I get it because he's trying to remain optimistic for his men, and he's basically trying to be a character that they see him as. And, you know, it's important for him to keep that persona going because his men really look up to him. And, you know, there were points where he's like, he even says to Carol, "Fake it till you make it, baby." And I liked that part because that is King Ezekiel. I do have one question. How does Shiva know who to kill and who not to kill? I know that she's a tiger and, you know, she may be pretty smart, but she's still a tiger, and they're wild animals. They're gonna just go crazy at some point. An instinct is probably gonna just take over, and she's just gonna start killing people left and right, including people from the kingdom. So now we get to the Morgan, Tara, and Jesus side of the story. And I honestly really liked this side of the story because you get Morgan, who you kind of see him losing his grip on his mental health, you know, he's slipping. And Tara, you know, she's just pissed. She just wants to kill every single one of the saviors. And you have Jesus, who is willing to do what he has to, you know, win this war and survive, but he also wants to not have to kill everybody. So, you know, Tara and Jesus kind of butt heads. Morgan kind of butts heads with Jesus as well. But, you know, it makes for an interesting drama. And basically what happens is Morgan almost gets killed because these idiots who help him don't shoot, and it drives me nuts. When I watch that scene, I'm like, you idiots, you didn't shoot when you had the opportunity. What was wrong with you? You were shaking like you were. I thought he was about to shoot too early, and it turns out that he didn't shoot at all. So I don't know, that just kind of bothered me, but it was still cool because Morgan goes crazy and just starts shooting people left and right. He goes dual wielding with pistols, and that scene was awesome. I loved that scene where Morgan's just like boom, boom, like he's basically proving his line where he says, "I don't die." And I don't know, that's cool. I love Morgan, and I really hope that he gets himself back, because his character has never been very sound in his mental health in this series. You know, at first, you know, he was fine with his son, and then when we meet him again in season 3, I think it was, maybe it was season 4. It's been a while. He was crazy. He was all about clearing. He's just got to kill everything and everyone. And then when we meet him again, he's like, all life is precious. He's turned completely the other way around. And now he's getting to the point where he's going back to his clear method, where he's just got to kill everyone. I just want them to just bring Morgan full circle so he's normal again. You know, he was at this point, at the beginning of this episode, where he's willing to do what he has to. Where he's willing to do what he has to. And I just want that Morgan more often. Now, I had a feeling that savior that they were about to kill and Jesus kind of spared, I had a feeling that he was playing them. And it turned out he was. But they end up capturing the rest of the saviors in the satellite station. And one of them is the same guy who killed the kid in season 7 last season. I think his name was Ben. And Morgan he wants to kill this guy really bad, and I thought he was going to. I wanted him to so bad. Eventually we're going to get that satisfaction, but they're going to hold off on that for a while. All right, now we get to the part that like really matters, with Rick, Daryl, and a few other guys that are infiltrating what they assume is an armory. They eventually find out that there's really nothing going on here except for some secrets that I'll get to in a second. But what happens in this part of the episode is really interesting. We get all this Rick and Daryl interaction, and everybody loves that. You know, we were promised that there's going to be more Rick and Daryl interaction in this season, and I'm so happy about that. I love their camaraderie, and one of my favorite scenes is at the end of season 4 when Daryl comes back to help Rick, Carl, and Michonne when they're getting attacked by the Claim Gang, and you know Rick kind of bites the guy's neck, but at the end of it, you know, Daryl and Rick are just sitting outside the car, and Rick basically calls Daryl his brother. And I don't know, I love that their connection, and I don't know, they are brothers. The scenes with them are very interesting, but this whole setting is very interesting. There's a guy that Rick ends up having to kill because he's attacked, and it's a very intense scene because, you know, Rick's trying to shoot him, but he kicks away the gun, and the way that they have him get killed, being stabbed by the shelf holder rack. Karen called it. She saw it in the background. She's like, oh, he's gonna get killed by the coat rack or whatever. And sure enough, he kicks him over to it and stabs him right through the chest. And I gotta say, Rick's really lucky that, you know, the guy didn't back up into it, you know, because that would have killed Rick. And, you know, Rick's not gonna die because we have seen 2 flash forwards of Rick being alive. Now again, that really far flash forward with Judith being grown up and everything, talking about an owl, that may be a dream or heaven, who knows? I still think it's a flash forward. But you know, he may not actually live through this war. It has been confirmed that Rick will not survive the show, but I don't think he'll die this season. Maybe next season or the season after that. But you know, Andrew Lincoln, he's too cool to kill right now. Anyway, the way that they killed this savior was awesome because this is what has made The Walking Dead so popular, is their creativity in killing walkers and other humans. And this episode goes back to that, and they use some creativity, you know. You're not always able to shoot them or stab them. You gotta work with what you have, your surroundings, and I love that part. The part that follows that is such another gut punch with Rick opening up the door and he sees a nursery and there's a baby in a crib. And it's like, oh my gosh, did you just kill the father of this child? And, you know, it's sad because, you know, you see Rick in that guy that got killed. And Rick actually looks at himself in the mirror. And you can only assume what's going on in his head. And he's just thinking, you know, what have I become? You know, I just killed someone who is like me, who's just looking after his children, you know. That was such a gut punch. And then at the end of the episode, some guy points a gun at Rick. And this is a familiar character. It's Morales from season 1. Now, if you don't know, or if you don't remember, Morales was in season 1. He was part of the original group outside of Atlanta at that rock quarry. But the night that they got attacked, or the day after they got attacked, and a lot of people died, Carol's husband, Andrea's sister, they got killed. A few other people, I think, got killed during that scene. But Morales decides what's best for his family is to not go to the CDC with Rick and the other members of the group. So that was the last time we saw him. And during that scene when the camp gets attacked, Morales actually uses a baseball bat to crush a walker's skull. Now, I don't think that was really foreshadowing because I don't think Negan had been even written in the comics at that point. He might have been, I don't know. But just the idea that it could have been foreshadowing is really something to admire about this show. Is they do think pretty far ahead, and you gotta admire the little things, little attention to details. And oh man, you just gotta wonder what happened to his family. Did they survive? Are they at the sanctuary, or where are they? Who knows? We're gonna find out soon, I hope. But I love the fact that they do recognize each other. And Morales kind of feels bad, but he's like, I don't want to kill you, but I did call for the Saviors. They're coming back. They're coming to get you. And now, we're not really concerned for Rick's safety. We're really concerned for Morales' safety, because it's like, is Rick going to have to kill this guy, or is this guy is Rick being captured, possibly, going to get someone else killed, like Daryl, because Daryl is the closest to Rick right now. He's in proximity. He can go try and save him, and he could get killed. I hope that doesn't happen, but it could, and it worries me. So, yeah, this episode is awesome. I loved almost every second of it, and to be honest, much better than the last episode. So I gotta give this episode an A+, because it is just all action, and it's just non-stop, and it's so great. Oh man, it was totally an adrenaline rush, this episode, and like I said, I loved every second of it, almost every second. Now on to the Easter eggs. I found very few in this episode. One of them being when Daryl kicks open a door or something, he sees handcuffs on a pipe, and that's basically a nod, a throwback to season 1 when Merle got handcuffed to the roof in Atlanta, and he basically had to chop his own hand off to get free and save himself from the walkers. And when Rick, Daryl, T-Dog, and I think Glenn, they all come back to save him, all that's left is the handcuffs and Merle's hand. So, that's basically what was going on in that scene when you see the handcuffs and Daryl just kind of looking at him. That's just kind of a throwback to season 1. And this makes me think, had Merle survived season 3, what would he be doing? I always think about that. What would Shane be doing in this type of world? Would they they probably would be dead, or Rick would be dead or something, but I just always wonder, how would Shane do in this war against Negan? How would Merle do against Negan? T-Dog, how would he do? I just always wonder, where would we be if these characters had survived, but things had still kind of happened the way that they did, where some characters died, but maybe not the most important characters. But I always wonder, and it's just fun to speculate, and we'll never know, and it's fine because I love the way the series is going, but it always makes you think, how would things be different if even just one character like Merle was still around? Now, one tiny thing that I barely saw myself was a tattoo on the guy's chest that Rick kills, one of the guy's chests that Rick kills, in that armory location, I think right before he finds the baby. There's a tattoo on the guy's chest that says, "Grace be God," I think it said. I don't know exactly what that means, but I think that it's hinting more toward the fact that Rick is starting to see himself as becoming like a monster, and he's almost too far gone, like the governor was, and he's, it's still Rick, but he's getting more to the point where we see in that flashback where he's all teary-eyed and he says, "My mercy prevails over my wrath." And yes, I know I said it wrong in my last video, but now I said it right because I watched it again, or at least the end of that episode. So, he's starting to become more merciful, I think. Eventually he will be. And, it'll be a good change for his character, but he needs to get through this war first because it's a war right now. So on to the predictions. Now, I don't have that many this time around. I honestly, it's based off of what we see in the next time on The Walking Dead type of stuff, all those scenes from the next episode. Morgan's gonna go crazy, I think. We did see him kind of attacking Jesus in the trailer. I don't know what exactly is going to transpire before that, but something is going to happen with Morgan. He's going to snap. Rick is kind of captured. I don't know if he's going to get free, if Daryl's going to help him get free, if he's actually going to get taken to Negan. I don't know what's going to happen there. But we also have the Negan and Gabriel stuff. I have a feeling Gabriel's going to die, and Rick is going to be taught a lesson before that from Gabriel about mercy. And that's where that line comes in. My mercy prevails over my wrath. So that's just how I see it happening. Also, that scene where I thought that, Rick might be sparing Negan's life in that flash forward, while I still think it could be that, now that we have Morales back, it could be that. Rick might be about to kill Morales, and then he says, my mercy triumphs over my wrath. So, who knows? It might be that. I still am in the camp that it's with Negan, because that just seems like such a big moment. Also, it looks like King Ezekiel and Carol and all the people from the kingdom might be captured. And we do still have some scenes from the trailer that we haven't seen yet, where the big guy, I don't remember his name, but he's got the big axe, he's part of the kingdom. And he basically looks over to King Ezekiel and says, thank you, your majesty. And he's like, for what? For being such a cool dude. And that scene will be a good scene, I hope. It might be next week, or it might be the week after that. We also have yet to see Shiva surrounded by walkers from the trailer. That'll be interesting. That could be that same episode, probably. We haven't seen very much of Alexandria. The characters back there with Carl, Rosita, and Michonne, and all those characters back at home at Alexandria. We don't know what's going on there yet. I have a feeling that something dramatic is going to happen in the next episode or two, especially at the hilltop with Maggie. She kind of fell back and retreated after the last episode, so something is going to happen with either of those communities where they're going to get attacked, or just something is going to happen where we get kind of a break from the war and we get one of those filler episodes. Now, what's best about this episode is it wasn't a bottled episode. It still showed almost all of the stories, and that's what we love about The Walking Dead, is when they show us everything. It keeps the story moving. Sure, we don't get a big leap in this story, and then we go back to another story and get a big leap. We just get a small step in the grand scheme of things. And honestly, I think we all would prefer small steps in the grand scheme of things than large leaps in slower storylines. That's just how I see it. So those are my thoughts on the second episode of The Walking Dead Season 8. What did you guys think of this episode? Did you like it, love it, or hate it? Let me know in the comments down below. And I'm going to continue reviewing and talking about all these episodes in Season 8. Hopefully into Season 9 or 10, however many seasons they go. But because I just love talking about The Walking Dead. I'm not the biggest fan of The Walking Dead. I don't have tattoos or any decorations concerning The Walking Dead. I haven't read all the comics. I'm not privy to spoilers like that. I'm just a fan of the show, and I just love talking about it and theorizing about it and speculating. So yeah, I'm going to just keep doing that until the cows come home, or you guys just beg me to stop. And I'm going to try something new this Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern time. I'm going to do a live stream hangout session where we just hang out, we talk, and maybe some Q&A. Maybe we'll talk Star Wars or some theorizing about Thor Ragnarok, the Avengers. Who knows? I have really no agenda right now for it. So let's just hang out and talk movies. And maybe even The Walking Dead if you want. Who knows? Also, be on the lookout on November 1st, that's Wednesday, for a collaboration video I did with Durbin of Durbania on YouTube. We went over our top 5 future movies and our top 5 time travel movies. The future movies will be on his channel of Durbania, and the top 5 time travel movies will be on this channel. So be on the lookout for those videos. It was a lot of fun to make those videos, and I'm excited to upload it and show you guys what our top 5 time travel movies were, and on his channel what our top 5 future movies were. So definitely be on the lookout for those videos. But let me know in the comments what you thought of this episode, and if you like this video, be sure to give it a big old thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you hit that bell icon next to the subscribe button so you can be notified of when we upload new content. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.